Hi everyone, in this video we'll be discussing enlightenment. The highest level would be the enlightened master, who aren't exactly common. These are the kind of people who, whether they're talking to a homeless person or to the president, their role does not change. They treat them both exactly the same. More common is the road to enlightenment, which in itself has countless benefits. It doesn't matter who you are, what you have, what you believe. Enlightenment serves everyone because it's conducive to our experience as human beings. What's not conducive is the ego, which I'll talk more about shortly. Enlightenment is the destruction of ignorance. It's a higher level of consciousness, and it's insight to who we are at our core. And there are some names like universal mind or higher self or spiritual or the true self. I like the true self or the true I because it implies it's everything we are. Unfortunately, the ego plays a significant role in who we are. As a matter of fact, the dictionary definition for ego is the I. Supposedly it's what defines us. What it defines is the conditioned I. The two most powerful forces in life are love and fear. Everything is a derivative of those two energies. Although we can choose which one to align with most, on the whole, the fear energy is far more rampant, and it blinds us to so much of what there is to love. For anyone who's shifting toward enlightenment almost immediately sees the ego for what it is, and at the same time understands how difficult it is to separate from it. If we educated enlightenment, it would completely change the human race. But the ego has all the tools to keep that from happening. Whenever something new is presented to us, we treat it with the same repetitive structure of thought. For who we are at our core and the potential we possess, the ego's influence has us limited to a very narrow consciousness in a world where consciousness is infinite. Try to imagine this. You're the person you are right now, but you're living approximately 120 years ago, when there were no TVs, no phones, no radios, when we used candles for light. And someone brought you one of today's laptops. And on the screen was a live video feed to someone you know who lives thousands of miles away. How do you think you'd feel about that? Probably, how is it possible for someone to travel through thin air and into this little case with a tiny typewriter? Now, if we fast forward 120 years into the future and someone brings back some high-tech marvel that's been created, do you think it could be as mesmerizing as the example from the past? Sure it would. And the new advancements won't be as much about gadgets and robotics, although they will be awesome. They will not compare to the advancements made about the knowledge of our very selves. And in particular, one word: thought. The magnitude of our thoughts is so complex that if we were offered a sample of what will be known, it would likely exceed our comprehension. The most important step in tapping into your potential is to acknowledge there's more to you than you think. Which, as simple as that may sound, is actually the most difficult step, since it's so easy to overlook the power of conditioning, hence the almighty ego. The reason it's so almighty and powerful is because you're that powerful. A wonderful spiritual teacher named Marianne Williamson wrote these words: "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." So we're afraid of how powerful we are. Is that all? All the ingredients to live a truly incredible life scares us? She nailed it. We get clear to our power when we quiet the ego, which essentially is quieting the mind. The ego prevents us from making the greatest discovery of all time. The discovery of you, the true you. We have all these scriptures written of what people said thousands of years ago, and to be honest, how do we really know what was said and what wasn't? But this one statement I was able to realize for myself, and that is, the kingdom of God is within. So that one I believe. The kingdom within is love. Whether it's obscured by ego or not, it's always there and it's never changing. When we resonate with love, overall love, not fragmented love where it's only felt for the ones closest to you or who treat you good, the love is for all because you understand who we really are beyond the adverse condition. It doesn't mean you have to go hug someone who wronged you. It's just an understanding that their attitude is an outward reflection only of what they were taught. And there's inward suffering perfectly aligned to those outward actions. As you begin to understand this with empathy and compassion, you're moving toward enlightenment. There's lots of information on how to quiet the mind. meditation being the most effective. It's a very powerful tool in reaching the quiet space of mind where all the magic happens. It's overlooked by far too many people, especially here in the Western world. Also, just as importantly, quieting the mind while we're awake, while we're supposedly conscious. Most people are unaware. They have a reaction to every bit of information that crosses their senses. And when it comes to negative thinking, how easy is it to get sucked into those thoughts and follow them along like some needy spectator? It's self-destructive. Our association with the ego is exactly what empowers it. It's the perfect fuel. Choke off that fuel to get clear on your power. There's a mass awakening of more and more people from every walk of life who are making the connection. And they're living in joy through the power of love and absence of fear. And for them, there's no circle of hierarchy, rank, or seniority. They're all leaders who yearn to do service for the good of others, which translates altogether to doing good for oneself. I'm not going to get into what science is discovering over in Geneva, except to say they've concluded there's something really big at play here, right here on Earth. The human consciousness. We are part of a connected consciousness, and to deviate from that connection is very apparent in its effects. Through enlightenment, you will know there is perfection in that connection. We could have all the proof in the world right before our very eyes, and the limited ego will always discredit it. I have to say, the ego is almost flawless in its creation, but I'm certainly not a fan. Why would anyone be a fan of the world's #1 dis-ease? Just to end off, there are several paths to enlightenment, things to be mindful of. You will get distracted. No one teacher knows everything. The quickest and truest path is to always choose the one with love. The road to enlightenment can be a very simple shift because you are powerful beyond measure. And you are divine perfection already. That's your definition. So own it.